A very good evening to everyone present here and viewing the session. I've had a tremendous response as I shared the idea, the flyers of the webinar, and I shared what we are planning. I got a tremendous response not only in the state of Assam, but across India and across the globe. My friends have been saying that they have shared it. It has reached the US, the Canada, the Saudi Arabia, and so on. So, big hello to everyone who has joined us today evening. And I am sure the topic that we have for today evening is the point of attraction because that's the topic. Because online classes, e-school have become the buzzwords. The problem was that of a virus, a biological problem, a medical problem, but it has impacted all our lives in such a way that today we are here to discuss this evening the impact that it has on the education scenario, the school education scenario in particular. This is a part of the digital campaign that our school has undertaken with Positivity We Can. And today, if this session is possible, if this session is happening, I think it's because we had this pandemic called the COVID-19. Without this pandemic, I don't think I would have planned out a session with someone sitting in Bengaluru and somebody else sitting in Pune and all the friends joining in from the different parts. So therefore, our belief gets reiterated that sometimes when we change our perspective, what appears as obstacles can be turned into opportunities. So this evening, I believe we have a wonderful opportunity to discuss with our eminent panel members the impact that COVID-19 is creating and maybe will create in the days to come in the education scenario. So a very good evening once again to all, and it's my privilege to introduce Ramya Venkataraman, the founder, CEO of CENTA. Ma'am, as I was going through the profile, wow, it's a wow profile to be shared with our audience. She is one of she was one of those 30 women who have been awarded by Niti Aayog just this year, if I'm not wrong, or maybe late last year. She was listed among the top 30 women who are transforming India. An alumnus of IIT Delhi and IIM Kolkata, Ramya ma'am and her team, they're doing wonders in the field of education. Hello, Ramya ma'am. Maybe a line from you before I go on to the next speaker.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the invitation to be here today and really look forward to the session.
And the second speaker that we have is Devika Nadig ma'am. She's the director, the founder of Shikshangan Education Initiative. But before Shikshangan, she has been a teacher with various schools, including St. Mary's Pune. She has been the principal, the director of academics in a chain of schools, the Dr. Kalmadi schools, if I'm not mistaken. And if there is one word that I have to use to describe Devika ma'am, and I think my choice of word would be passionate. She's so passionate about the kind of work she does. She's so passionate about her thoughts, her beliefs, and Shikshangan has been touching the lives of teachers and principals of schools for more than a decade across India. Welcome, Devika ma'am. Maybe a line from you?
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for organizing this. COVID or no COVID, I hope you continue to do such stuff, and this is probably just the beginning. I also want to thank you because you reconnected me and Ramya after a decade, even though we've connected up online. But it's great to be connected with someone who I met so long ago and to see that our journeys have taken various paths. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. And the third speaker we will have is the Secretary of the State Board of Education, Assam, Suranjana Senapati madam, but then she is tied up in a departmental meeting and she'll join us in a while, maybe at around 6:45 we can expect her. So we start the session with the first question to our to the first speaker of today, Ramya ma'am. Well, Ramya ma'am, you have been working closely with governments across the country. You have worked closely with teachers in India, Dubai, and you have been post the outbreak of COVID. I think you have been regularly in global conferences, and therefore you are the right person to give us an idea of the impact that this pandemic is having in the education scenario, both from the point of view of both from the global perspective as well as our country in specific. Ramya ma'am.
Sure. So I hope I'm clear and audible.
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Okay, great. Thank you very much again for having me here, and good evening to everyone who's watching this session. So the brief that we got from Mitra was to share some broad thoughts on how COVID is impacting the education sector, and I decided to interpret that a little more narrowly because, frankly, the impact is widespread, very hard to describe in a 5-minute time frame, and then probably there are very few of us who even understand it well enough. I think each of us understands pieces of it. So I decided to interpret this a little more narrowly to say, in particular, when you see the life of a teacher and the life of a school leader, what is the kind of impact that COVID is having? And teachers and school leaders are naturally the most important stakeholders in the education system. So I hope that by using those perspectives, we can get at least 75%, 80% picture of the scenario, even if not all of it. Now, so before that, very quickly, what do we do as CENTA? And there is a reason I'm giving this introduction. It will come up again as we talk about the COVID-related situation. So very quick introduction on CENTA. We are a teacher certification organization trying to make teaching a more aspirational profession. And the way we do this is to assess and certify the competencies of teachers, which then allows those teachers to get a range of opportunities, whether it is placement for a new teacher, or career growth for an existing teacher, or rewards and recognition at the global or national level, and so on. Interestingly, Ms. Mitra is one of the rewarded teachers, and that's how we first met, rewarded school leaders. That's how we first met. She was one of the national toppers in the CENTA Teaching Professionals Olympiad, our annual competition. And it's very nice to reconnect in this context. But coming back, we connect teachers to a range of opportunities. That then triggers a cycle where many more teachers want to improve their own competencies and work on their professional development. And we also support that professional development then through what we call the MyCENTA learning platform, which is a mobile app, and various programs which one can access through that. So that's the cycle we are trying to bring about in education, a virtuous cycle where teachers feel that they will be rewarded for improving their competencies, therefore want to improve their competencies, and a virtuous cycle starts setting in for teachers and for schools. Now, coming to the COVID situation, from our vantage point, where we are working with a very large number of both individual teachers and schools and institutions across India, and a few outside India. So we currently work with about 1.5 lakh teachers from 6,000 cities and towns across India, representing some 30,000 schools. And from this vantage point, we see, if I were to prioritize two big pieces of impact on the lives of teachers and school leaders coming out of the COVID situation. So the first one is all of us understand that remote and online teaching are increasing significantly because of COVID. And I don't need to say too much about that. I think the audience here is experiencing that on a day-to-day basis. And this doesn't look like a very short-term phenomenon. I think even if schools reopen at some point soon, I mean, there is going to be continued uncertainty over an 18-24-month time frame. Plus, as people are experiencing online education, there are pros and cons to that. And therefore, there will be a subset of people who will continue using some of that in a positive manner, even if the crisis goes away. Now, in this context of online education, therefore, the one big change that is happening is that teaching is no longer something that happens only within a classroom that is somewhat of a black box as far as parents and society are concerned. Teaching is something that is now happening live in every living room, every study room, wherever the parent's computer is kept. And therefore, suddenly, parents are starting to recognize that teaching is a very complex job. It involves several in-depth competencies. And there is a big difference between a good teacher and a not so good teacher. And very interestingly, in our work as CENTA, we find that the interest among teachers to both improve their competencies and get certified for their competencies has grown even more than before. And the kind of engagement that happens on a day-to-day basis, the number of teachers who sign up to get tested on a day-to-day basis, sign up to learn something new on a day-to-day basis, it's sort of going through the roof. And this is a very natural push that is starting to happen from the ecosystem because of the pressure of being sort of live to a bigger audience because of this situation, and of course the new competencies that teachers need to start picking up. The second change that we are starting to see is that like other sectors and other professions, teaching is also getting a more global character with this crisis. And as Mitra mentioned right in the beginning, how do you turn an obstacle into an opportunity? I think the opportunity here is that for competent teachers and for competent schools, this is potentially an opportunity to spread their footprint much beyond their current geography. And as a great teacher of physics, you could be teaching a student sitting in UK, or as a great school with a physics department, you could be saying, why don't you hand over this part of your curriculum to me to deliver? And of course, there are regulatory changes which are partly happening, partly need to happen. But we see a big opportunity in that direction going forward. And finally, the last thing I will leave you with before I stop is what are we as CENTA doing to support teachers and school leaders during this time? And I will share one slide over here, which let me hope you're able to see it. Yeah. I'll just share one slide over here, which is first, or rather two slides. One, what are the teacher competencies that change in an online environment? And this slide just gives you a very quick overview of it. I also realize I'm running out of time, so I won't take much time on this. But one of the pieces of input we are trying to give to the ecosystem is that while, yes, there are a lot of changes for teachers, it's not as if every competency changes. There are certain things like subject understanding how children learn, which actually don't change too much. There are certain other things like content development, lesson planning, student assessment, where you still need to start from what you already understand, which is subject and pedagogy, but need to just add to that the knowledge of technology tools to see what is possible, not possible. Whereas something like classroom communication, yes, undergoes a huge change. So we are trying to provide some of this in-depth input to the landscape. And very specifically on testing and certification, we have now made our test CENTA teaching quotient available online, anytime, anywhere, along with a special track dedicated to online teaching. And we have also announced CENTA Teaching Professionals Olympiad this year as an international competition for teachers in 2 stages, fully online. So this is on the testing certification side, leading to opportunities, rewards, and recognition for teachers. And on the professional development support side, we are launching a 6-week course that can rapidly allow teachers to become proficient in online teaching, teachers and schools to become proficient in online teaching, and ongoing support from the MyCENTA learning platform, which as a platform is freely available and has a mix of free and paid options for teachers to do, which is m.centa.org. So these are the couple of ways in which we are trying to support the landscape at this time. And with that, I think I've given enough opening comments, and will hand it back to you, Mitra.
Thank you so much, Ramya ma'am. That was wonderful listening to everything. And very rightly said, I loved that statement that you made. Like, there's so much of opportunities that we can actually look out for, where maybe I, as a physics teacher, or somebody as an English teacher, somebody as a history teacher, could think of not only reaching out to a specific set of students in their school, but maybe schools across the international boundaries as well. So that was a wonderful, and that's food for thought for me as well. Maybe we can really seriously think of something like that. And as far as the support that CENTA gives, yes, I mean, who else but we are aware of the beautiful felicitations and the lovely awards that CENTA showers the teachers with. Having received such a felicitation from CENTA, I mean, who knows it better than me? And I can see all my teachers who have joined in, and they are just putting in their comments in the chat box. I can see all of them, and they will also be able to connect, because Ramya ma'am knows that St. Vivekananda is one of the schools where the principal, along with the teachers, except for the Assamese teachers, everybody joins and participates in the CENTA examination. So that's a long-standing bond. Thank you, Ramya ma'am. That was a very insightful conversation that you triggered. Now I come to Devika ma'am. Hello, Devika ma'am. And
yes, good evening once again.
Yes.
Yeah.
And since for the kind of work that Shikshangan does, and the training that you impart to teachers across the country, to principals across the country, so I believe the right question for you would be that in the current scenario, ma'am, what do you think are the challenges that the teachers are facing?
Right.
And how could we as teachers, as educators, how could we reorient ourselves and maybe, if required, reinvent ourselves and make us more relevant and make us, ensure that we can reach out to each and every one in the different corners, the students who would
Absolutely.
otherwise be in a small 20 by 20 room are now just spread out. Your thoughts, ma'am?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, so I guess I am on, and I'm going to straight away share my screen. So, okay, I can get some screen sharing tips here. Share screen. So, am I able to? So, where is your Surajit? I want to share a slide presentation. So, would you please help me do that?
Ma'am, you will click on share screen on the bottom of your screen. You'll find
I did that. I did that.
Share screen.
So I've got my share your screen window.
Then you need to allow.
Allow? It doesn't ask me.
The application, you need to select that and allow, yes.
Oh, I select the application. Okay.
Yes, and select allow.
Oh, well, there is nothing saying allow. It's just saying cancel. There is a Chrome tab. Shall I go to the Chrome tab?
Yes, please.
It still doesn't say allow. So shall I say share audio? And then I say share,
It
but it
should
still does not
share.
Well, so I do not know. So they're saying that StreamYard wants to share the contents of your screen.
Yeah, you might have seen your entire screen, application window and Chrome tab it shows, right?
Right.
Yes, just select your entire screen,
Your
select the
entire
screen and click. Yeah,
Okay. And
click
then
on the
select
screen and then click on share.
I see.
Click on share.
Okay. Just a minute. Now I say share, is it?
Yes.
All right. So let's see if it shares. Okay. Here we go. Can you see my screen? Can you see the screen
Not
I'm
yet.
sharing?
Not yet, ma'am.
But it's telling me that
One
it's
second.
sharing. Yeah?
Yes, ma'am. We can share your screen now. Yes.
You can see the screen? All right. So I just have a very quick presentation because I thought that I'll say what I want to say through quick points, because Mitra told me that teachers have logged in and teachers would understand this presentation the way I have tried to conceptualize it. So I'm going to first be talking about very briefly about what are the challenges that we are really facing right now. It's nothing new, everybody knows, but still let me just reiterate. One of the things which is happening is the teachers really lack the training in the new skills that this situation is demanding. So like Ramya ma'am was saying, that they actually have a 6-week course for helping teachers learn how to teach online. Probably that is the need of the hour, because they do lack in these skills. The next problem we are facing is that the learners do not enjoy online teaching, all of them, and therefore they're not motivated to log in. There's also a problem of the home background, because it's causing a lot of distraction for focused engagement in an online class. Assessments are treated as not being authentic, because the Indian psyche feels that the children are cheating, because they give the assessments and they report in later. And so a lot of people are trying to work out live assessments, and that's one problem that we are facing in schools. When I say schools, my work largely, I'm not speaking about Shikshangan, but my work largely is with the private English medium schools all across the country. And therefore, my findings are from talking to these teachers, and I'm just trying to capture that. They're also worried, and this is something that I'm going to be focusing on my presentation today, which is that they're worried about the academic lag that is happening everywhere. And I want to take you through this presentation to basically show you what can therefore we be doing as teachers and educators and school principals to actually close the gap of this academic lag. Mitra wanted me to stress on how can we reorient ourselves to new ways of schooling. I have a quick slide on the physical space reorientation. My assumption here is that schools would reopen while Corona scare hasn't yet gone away. That's the assumption. So it's not post-COVID, it's during COVID that I'm talking about. People have been talking about a variety of ways to create safety in physical space as we talk to them. One idea is, can we create alternate days for students, which means A days and B days, like the odd and even days of Delhi. That means that those who are not on school on a given day would be doing remote learning at home, and those who are in school would be doing face-to-face learning. There's another idea going around, which is selective return of classes, students, or teachers. Remember, I'm speaking to you from Maharashtra, which is entirely a red zone. So we're not even thinking about reopening schools right now. But this is what I have gathered from bits and pieces I hear from all the schools that we are working with across the country. What they're suggesting is that let us get few classes in for physical interaction, few at a time. Here is a radical idea, which I thought was pretty nice, and I thought I'll share it. Some schools are thinking about how about all the students staying in the same class with the same teacher, taking one subject course for one whole week. That means different teachers do not visit that class, which means that instead of the class changing every 45 minutes, they change every 2 weeks. This is an idea some people are toying about. All these ideas are for if children really have to return to school in some of the states which are fairly COVID-free, like Kerala is, for example. But this is my question. Can we really manage this? Even if we want to, Can we really have strict protocols for distancing where children are concerned? Can we really have a surveillance for washing hands all the time? And children also sharpen pencils all the time, and they do so many other things, shoulder to shoulder and bending down. Can we really have a surveillance for that? Are we going to now have punishments for children holding hands? And are we going to have more punishments for hugging friends? Are we really going to be having daily temperature checks for so many children? So it's really it looks pretty impossible to me. And here is another problem. Even if we really manage to do this, putting lots of people in charge, we will be sending a signal and a message that everyone needs to be feared, which is certainly not a very good signal for our own mental health. So I really don't see this happening. I think, just like Ramya said, digital learning is here to stay for a very, very long time. There will be a second wave and a third wave, and we don't know what. So we need to be preparing for that. And therefore, what are the academic challenges which are staring at us when we resume schooling? When I say resume schooling here, it could be face-to-face, it could be digital, because I'm talking to you on the 28th, 27th of June, and many schools are going to be breaking for their summer break now. One of the things which has been of concern is that students might have developed a lot of learning lags due to missed classes, and therefore they are unable to pick up the new concepts or skills. Students might have lost the skills of learning to learn themselves, and therefore they need more support, because a lot of students never logged in and they never had any teacher support. So they might be now needing more support. Teachers would need to be trained in specific pedagogy, can bring the students who are lagging behind up to speed with the rest of the class, that too online. I am suggesting two ways in which we can address this fallout of the lockdown. One, I believe we need to really be working towards making students self-regulated learners. Whether we do this online, whether we do this face-to-face, whether CENTA does it with the teachers, it doesn't matter. We're all working for one common goal, all of us who are logged in here this evening, that every student who is in our care should be learning and should be learning well, COVID or no COVID. Therefore, our first strategy, this Shikshangan, which Shikshangan is suggesting, and this is exactly what we are doing in all our trainings online everywhere, and we have a beautiful module for this. How do we teach children to become self-regulated learners? The strategy is helping them learn how to learn. One of the goals of school education is making students independent learners. How do you do that? Becoming a self-regulated learner means learning to learn on one's own, independently, without the teacher, online, offline, whatever. We can help students reach this goal by training them on certain self-learning skills, but we will train them through the teacher. We don't work with the students directly, we work with the teachers. So what are some of these skills which would help students become independent learners or self-regulated learners? In this slide, there's a quick overview of what are these skills. I'll just quickly read through, but clearly I am expecting every teacher here to know and understand what each of these strategies means. We propose active reading. That means reading in order to understand. We propose learning by comparing and contrasting whatever new is coming to you with whatever old you already know. We propose teaching children to take notes and teaching our students to use relevant graphic organizers in all their notes. None of us are teaching children to take notes in our schools in any class. Students struggle to take notes when they get to college. But when you want to make them self-learning students, then you need to teach them how to take notes, how to make their own graphic organizers, and we train teachers to do this in our new module. We need to teach children to differentiate between a concept and a skill. And why am I stressing on that? Because they need to know that skills need to be practiced more and concepts need to be understood. So therefore, we need to differentiate this in the curriculum while we are making them independent learners. We need to teach children to be able to reflect on their learning, to review their learning, and to monitor, are they reaching their goals or not? And therefore, if they are not reaching their goals, they should also be able to seek help when they need the help. Most of us are not able to seek help. This is one of the problems in the COVID times. Teachers need so much help, they don't know where to begin to ask for help. We are so cowed down by what do people think of us, and we don't even know, we do not have the reflection to be able to understand, where do I need the help? This is something we can teach, and we do that in our training. Then there is this idea of chunking and celebration, which means there is so much I need to learn, but let me learn in small chunks. Break up everything into small chunks, learn, get up and celebrate that learning. Have a chocolate, just dance, do a little jig, and that's called chunking and celebration towards becoming an independent learner. We have one more strategy to share before I wind down. This strategy is for plugging the gaps, which are definitely going to show up when children return to school. There are going to be lags in their learning, and we know why. We are proposing a research-based strategy called accelerated teaching to cover the lag. What is this saying? Provide students with sufficient background knowledge just in time to understand the new concepts or skills that are going to be taught in their new class as soon as the school reopens. Remember, just in time for whatever is going to happen in school the next day. Background knowledge is nothing but the relevant type of prerequisite skills needed for introducing new knowledge. Accelerated teaching shows us how we can scaffold the students' prerequisite skills. So Shikshangan is heavily invested in training teachers on how do you learn to practice accelerated teaching with students who are lagging behind, and to do this just in time in these special times. This, as you can see, is very different from remediation, because in remediation, we are just trying to fix everything which is going wrong. But in acceleration, we are preparing students to be in the present, to be in the classroom right here, right now. Some examples. For those of us who are teachers here and would be interested in knowing, what do I mean by prerequisite skills across subjects? I've just taken a sample because this is what you will understand as teachers. For example, when I'm teaching subtraction with borrowing in the lower classes, the prerequisite skill that children need to have is of place value. Without that, they cannot understand anything about how is the decimal system and how are we moving by tens. While teaching the location mapping in geography, knowledge of latitudes and longitudes is required. While teaching transformation of sentences in grammar, knowledge of verbs and tenses is required. You're getting a hang of what do I mean by prerequisite skills. So don't go on to the new topic without checking back on what have they missed. While teaching Ashoka's empire and history, for instance, knowledge of Buddha and Buddhism is required. Otherwise, what are we saying? He relinquished everything after the Kalinga War, and where did he go off? While teaching the concept of a water cycle, for example, students need to revisit the idea of a cycle. They would have done plant life cycle before this. This is from your curriculum, and it should be making huge sense to you when I say that the training that you need is to identify these prerequisite skills in your subjects. Make sure that you have brushed that up with your students when they're resuming, and that's the way you will close the lag. You will also be doing a lot of vocabulary to close the lag. What next, therefore? Whether schools reopen fully or partially, whether students and teachers become adept at learning online or not, whether homeschooling becomes the new normal or digital learning replaces face-to-face teaching completely, we don't know. We still need to look at how do I fill the learning lag, which is bound to have developed in this COVID-19 situation. I don't think we can be thinking about anything else except this. Acceleration is a research-based teaching strategy that will save all our children from lagging behind even further. And the teachers need to be trained in this new pedagogy. It lends itself very well to differentiated teaching, which is even more beautifully done in digital learning, because teachers will be able to work with a few students independently, making them independent learners at a different time from the rest of the class, and no one needs to know. And that's the advantage that we can really exploit of this technology that we are suddenly being thrust upon. That's it from me. If there are any questions, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. That was wonderful once again. And I liked the use of that term, the self-regulated learners. And if you would believe, like, that was one point that I had noted down in my diary, and I thought, just my thought, that probably this is, the current situation is demanding more of the what we are from within. Like you all, Devika ma'am, in your training, you all always emphasize on self-awareness and the time management skills. So these are all what we do with ourselves. And I think this is a time when the time is demanding self-efficacy. The time is demanding us that we do the students become self-disciplined and they're able to tackle the things on their own. And on this note, ma'am, I would like to put up a query. This query is from a parent uh, who is our friend Subrata Burman, who works with World Bank and is placed in Hanoi. And since he could not join in because of his office work, but he has given me a question and he wants an answer from you all. And maybe Devika
Sure.
ma'am would be the right person to ask this question. That he
Sure.
says that his daughter is a very independent learner. So she is actually
Okay.
enjoying staying at home because she has the
Okay.
independence of time. She does not have to rush back and stick to a time schedule, but yet she is managing her studies very well and she is going ahead in her lessons. But that's not the scenario with everyone. So maybe it's
Mhm.
exactly in line with this. So what could maybe the parents? There are many parents out here, I believe. So what could be that one thing the parents, or maybe we as a school, could that one small thing that we could initiate right away to develop this self-efficacy or the ownership towards their own learning, ma'am.
Right. So I don't think I heard a question from the episode that you just narrated. What you just said is that there is a child who is very happy being a self-regulated learner, and there are children like that, which is great. But I think your question is, what is the one thing that we can do? I think the one thing that we can do is train them on the skills of becoming a self-regulated learner. And if you saw, I showed you 7 different strategies. Each one of them is intensive. How to really do active reading, how to really draw ourselves Venn diagrams to compare and contrast. How do we actually learn to take notes? There are wonderful graphic organizers that Mitra, that we are using all the time in our trainings, because graphic organizers give you frameworks for learning, and you're able to see at a glance graphically something that you have been struggling to learn in volumes of pages, maybe. So all of this helps us to become to take charge of our own learning. That's what the intention is. And I might add, it's not going to happen without us doing something about it. Okay, so just hoping that students will start doing it, no. I think we first need to train our teachers, and then hope that they pass this on to the students. That's what I have to say for this.
Yeah. So therefore, I believe we already have Suranjana Senapati ma'am. Surajit, if you could add in Suranjana ma'am. Yes. Good evening, ma'am. And it's my pleasure to introduce Suranjana Senapati ma'am, Secretary, Secondary Education Board of Assam. Big, big thank you, ma'am. I know how much you had to manage your schedule amidst all the meetings and all your responsibilities. And if anyone has seen Suranjana ma'am working in her office, I would say that I'm always left awestruck by the way you manage the multitask, all the things, the phone here and the conversation there and a visitor here. So it's always a wow whenever I see you working in your office, and that it has been quite often. Ma'am, thank you so much for coming. A line
Thank you
maybe
so
before
much.
I shoot the question at you.
Thank you so much, Mitra, for your
Okay.
such a nice
Okay, ma'am.
welcome.
So thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. So therefore, the question that I have for Suranjana ma'am is that while we have had insights from Ramya ma'am, from Devika ma'am, Suranjana ma'am here would be able to give us the exact scenario of what's happening in the remotest corner of Assam. From the position of the secretary of the state board that she occupies, probably she faces this everyday challenges. She and her team and her board faces this regular challenge of balancing or finding out ways which are relevant for not only a school in Guwahati but also maybe a school in the remotest corner of the state. So, ma'am, from you, like, what exactly are the challenges that you're facing, keeping in mind the varied spectrum of schools that you are having to deal with? What are the future plans of SEBA, and how are you all coping up in the current scenario? Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mitra. This is really a wonderful, platform, a wonderful opportunity given to me. Thank you so much. Because when I was asked about it by Mitra, initially I had a few, reservations whether I would be able to make it or not. Because today also we had about 2 meetings also, and unfortunately I am seeing that my battery has shown poor battery. So I am just reconnecting. I'm recharging again. So this is a very wonderful, beautiful topic. And first of all, my regards to Ramya madam and Devika ma'am also. I have also seen that you have also been there right from the start of this meeting. And yes, the 3 points, the topics that had been given to me, I have just written it down because yesterday also I had a very tight schedule. But there's lots in this 3 aspects. That is, the 3 things are that number one is the challenges which we are facing presently at the moment. The next, which you have given me, the topic is the initiatives taken by SEBA board at the present time, and the what is the future aspect of it. So I would not want to make it that very lengthy, but I would like to highlight on the main points that which we are facing at the moment. So this challenge, yes, this pandemic has brought us to a very big, very huge challenge, which we are facing it at the moment right now, because it happened to be so much uncertain. Never did we realize, nor did we ever think that we would be facing such a scenario, such a situation in the yesteryears. So this has come as like a jolt out of the blue for us, all of a sudden, for which we, did not have any prior planning or prior preparation also how to handle the situation. The Board of Secondary Education in Assam, we basically is a body which holds the board's examination, that is the class examination. We look after the children of class 9 and class 10. Yes, this lockdown has brought the schools, all the schools, to a closure. And what we are facing the challenges is that there is an uncertainty lying out over here for the schools, for the children, for the teachers, for the entire education scenario, because we are not being able to go ahead with the course, the curriculum that has been planned as per the academic calendar, which is prepared by in our schools, right from the primary levels till the class 10 till the class 12 level. So over here in our department, so we have the academic calendar which is prepared for the whole year, and in every month, in every week, what needs to be taught by the teacher is being specified, and it is being also hanged in the form of a calendar in every schools, which is being taken by all the, which is also being accepted and followed by all the teachers. So this uncertainty lies, and now the biggest challenge that we are facing it in the boards right now for our school children is that of class 10 and also for the high secondary section for class 12 students. So now this is the biggest challenge is also that we are not being able to tell perfectly and certainly when the school would reopen, and what are the measures that would be also taken for the protection of the child at the moment, because this is a very scary situation, scary scenario. And now, as you all know, that the present scenario in Assam also, it is shooting up so much of the COVID patients, and wherein we are also seeing that most of the educational institutions have to be taken up by the government for making all these quarantine zones. I hope I'm audible to everyone. Mitra, am I audible? Am I audible to everyone? I hope so. I hope so. And I'm going ahead with my topic. To cut it short and to tell you precisely, cut it short and to tell you precisely also regarding the various initiatives that has been taken up by the board for the children, for the schools, for the teachers also, let me tell you that we were taken aback right from the 23rd of March when the proper lockdown had taken place. So two challenges which we are facing right at the moment simultaneously is that one is that we need to carry ahead with the results processing. So that is the prime responsibility, that is the prime duty of us. So the HSLC and the HM examination 2020, which was held in the month of February and was also ultimately completed on time. So after that, as per the process, it goes like after the conduct of the examination, holding of the examination in the various centers, the next stage is that of the evaluation. So right in the midst of the evaluation, we had to face a lot of problems because in this lockdown scenario also, there were certain zones also which had to, go away midway and stop most of the works also in the evaluation work. And in the midst of that process, most of the zones they could complete the evaluation process on time, and most could not. So at that point of time, so we had to particularly pursue and persuade those zones also to maintain those particular norms that had been addressed by the government and during the lockdown period, and with all maintenance of norms, those zones could complete the evaluation process and they could hand over these evaluation works, the result processing works, and the confidential materials also to us on time. So we were very much lucky enough because our team, right to the grassroots level, every people involved and associated with this conduct of this examination, they could complete it on time, and they could hand over all the materials back over to the boards. So that was a big challenge that we had to face. And the initiative part also, I would like to tell you over here, the board, it faces a different type of students, like from the urban area schools to that of the rural schools. So from the 24th of March, we had taken a lot of initiative. The chairman of the Board of Secondary Education, Assam, Mr. Ramesh Chanjain, he had also taken lots of efforts. Like from the next day onwards of the lockdown itself, there was with the help of the media channel, the different classrooms was being initiated. It was being taken up. Actually, it was a thing, it was a vision which SEBA had, was nurturing for quite some time. Like we had a partnership with EduAid, which is a firm that initially had done preparation of subjects for class 10 students, especially for science, then English. Those subjects had been taken up, and the lesson preparations was also done, taking into account the animated forms and making learning process interesting for the students. So that was already in the pipeline, and this lockdown had given us a chance to initiate that learning process, and we started that off right away, immediately when the lockdown also started. Then other aspects which we have taken as initiatives is that the regular classes are also being taken in the Doordarshan, by the Doordarshan Kendra also. And another is that we have also taken initiative under All India Radio. We are very much thankful to them, All India Radio Guwahati. They have also given us a time slot of 1 hour every day, daily, which we have been taking it since the last month. That is from 12:30 to 1:30. We have taken up particularly 3 subjects. One is English, one is social science, and another is mathematics. So these are the 3 subjects that which we have taken up according to the schedule given in the academic calendar, and we have taken those course curriculum, those contents, those chapters right from February onwards, and we are dealing it for particularly those students, because we find that most students in the rural areas, they do not have the Android mobiles, or most students do not have mobile connections also. So that was a feature of that featured a problem among the online classes also, because we have been having regular interactions with the various districts, the district program officers. We are having Zoom meetings, video chats also, asking all the teachers and the schools to prepare to have a connectivity with the students, to prepare WhatsApp group, and to provide them with learning contents to teach them via using the WhatsApp also. But those things are possible only for those children who are at least financially well enough to have those upgraded mobile phones in their homes. So ultimately, we switched over to like I said, to All India Radio. That has become a very popular among the students as well as the guardians also. Half an hour is for the delivery by the resource person, and another half an hour is for interaction with that of the students. So that has been broadcast by All India Radio, and we are having it in the different mediums also, like in Kachar also. We are having the Bengali medium. We are also having it in the Boro medium also. So SEBA has been coordinating and taking all effort so that it reaches out to, at least from our point, to each and every student. But another point is that the biggest challenge, like I said, lies is that this connectivity, this networking problem, because we are also told that right in the grassroots level, the children, as they do not have these devices. So ultimately, what the other aspect is that teachers, the principals, particularly the schools, they have, we are very much dependent on them, and we have been giving our ardent requests also to all the teachers to at least maintain that connectivity, at least in the neighborhood also. If they have at least 4 5 students, at least keeping the social distancing, the norms and the guidelines provided by the government, if they also go for it, so we feel that at least the effort should be on. Whatever way this might be, one effort would not be 100% okay. A second type of an initiative should be initiated. If that is also not successfully done, or if it is not successful in reaching out to each and every student, then another alternate method should be undertaken. So this is a system which we are having and facing at the moment. We are trying our level best with all means and all ways how to reach out to each and every students that are there. And we had also challenges like we could not conduct the regular unit test examinations also on time. The first unit test also we had to defer it. We could not give any particular date also. But even then, we had also issued various notifications, circulars also, at least whatever way, like I said, in the neighborhood, in the locality of the school, whatever school students, the teachers, they're having available in and around them, at least to give them, if not the unit test, at least to give them assignments and get the hard copies back also, so that they can also correct it and give the feedback to the students also. So this is a never-ending process, which we are, taking it hand in hand. It is going on also. And just to share with you all also that recently we had a Zoom in meeting also with the various DPOs, district program managers, because district program officers, they are the member secretaries of SEBA regional offices. So we had also particularly told them that for the different subjects, for the different chapters, we requested teachers to prepare good education, learning lessons, chapters under different topics, and send it over to us, so that with our expert panel, the research experts, we'll be able to select about 5 good, best one among them, and circulate it among all the schools so that everybody will be also benefited. We want to have a sort of an indexing type, like we have also seen it in the CBSE also. The boards, they have also given links for prepared for different classes in the different level structures of the classes, so that we can also prepare it and also, I mean, circulate it among all the children, all the students. And these are small things which is going on parallelly along with the result processing, because that is a very Herculean task at hand. We have to, I mean, we, in fact, luckily we could complete the whole process, the conduct of examination and the processing or results processing. So that is a very Herculean task which we are having at hand, and we are also preparing for that. So that is a big challenge which we are facing right at the moment, and the full work is also going on, particularly at the moment. So, yes, the future aspect, the topic, this is yet to come, because these are the instructions and the guidelines which is already in the pipeline, prepared by that of the government, and which will be also declared sooner or later. I think that will be done very soon also. And yes, lot of issues are also up there in the pipeline, like regarding the cutting of the syllabus, cutting of the curriculum, certain chapters like that. And another thing of the issue is that whether we should go for this April and the March session or not. That is also another thing which we are facing at the moment. And for that, particularly a portal has been also prepared, and in the SEBA website, and we are also particularly asking all the people of this education line, the education fraternity people, to, and the general public also, the children's, the guardians, the all the resource persons, to offer their valuable views in this regard, whether the session of the April and the March, unlike the other boards which they are going, which they are going through, whether that will be also feasible for the children of our SEBA boards or not. So that for that we have been collecting the opinions from all sections of the people. And regarding the holding of the examinations, these are also certain things which I particularly would not be able to divulge it outright at the moment, because these aspects are all matters of issues, matters of discussions, and we are yet and to come up and give it publicly to the people, because it will be too early for me to say anything at this moment right now, because a lot of research work and a lot of pondering has been also going on regarding this. But yes, I must say that this is a huge challenge which we are facing right at the moment, and this uncertainty lies. But apart from that, I would just want to share something good also out of this, because yes, we are very scared. There is a lot of mental problems, pain, and agonies of children not going to school, parents, mothers having to deal with the children all at home at this moment. Yes, those are very big challenges. But even then, I would like to, I mean, just say that yes, this is a phase of life which was not planned and which we were not prepared at all. But this COVID-19, this pandemic has also made us learn a lot of things, and it has given a jolt also to mankind, to humanity. It has brought a lot of introspection also amongst us, because slowly people are starting to realize that whether we are right or whether we are wrong, what did we wrong, what did we do wrong? Is there anything that we played with Mother Nature? Is there anything we played with Mother Earth? And even then, I have seen children also in the various videos also that I seen in the various groups, in my school groups, in my college groups, in the various WhatsApp groups where I am included and where I also enjoy. I also see that children also at this time, yes, as a parent, as a mother, even I see that children are also My daughter, she has really grown a lot in the sense, like children picking up certain traits and things of their desire. Like she has started cooking, and my son also, I mean, adding into with her, and she has become such an expert cook that nowadays, when I am being sent all the pictures of the dishes by my husband, now I feel I'm in lost out, as if I feel that she has done so very well, and she has become such an expert looking at it and preparing all those things with her, my helper, of course, and looking at all these YouTube videos, and I have seen that she has really grown in that aspect, and she's really enjoying her all her this thing preparation of the dishes daily, one thing or the other. So yes, we are going through a very bad phase, but even then, it has also also given us a lot of learning experience. Also, we have to be positive. We have to be optimist, and we have to also learn. And yes, COVID-19 has also made us learn a lot of things. Like today we have the Zoom meeting in the morning in my office. I had a meeting, then also at 5 o'clock I had another meeting, and this is my third meeting today. So yes, initially I also feel that I was as a human being, I felt very comfortable living in my own cocoon, in my own comfortable point. But now I have found that I need to exert myself, I need to push myself and do certain things, and certain acts which I initially thought that I was not good at, I was not an expert in these aspects. But these things are challenges of life, and we have to take it up, hope I mean gleefully, I mean happily, and I'm sure that the good, better, and the sunny days will be surely ahead, and we'll be able to enjoy those days with all our love, near and dear ones. So that is all that I want to share with you all. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. That was nice to hear of all the initiatives taken by SEBA and your personal perspectives on it. And I'm absolutely on what you said at the end that yes, COVID 19 has thrown up a few challenges, definitely. But I think they have made us experts in certain fields which probably we never handled before this. So we are becoming more tech savvy if we
Exactly,
will it.
Mitra. That's very
Yeah,
true.
yeah. So
Yes,
therefore,
yes.
just a quick maybe, Ramya ma'am, would you like to come in and do you have anything to ask Suranjana ma'am? Suranjana ma'am is in a hurry, and so maybe before she leaves, we can just something that you could want to ask you or Devika ma'am. Anything from your
Sure.
side?
Yeah, sure, sure. So Suranjana ma'am, I mean, firstly, congratulations on all the efforts being put in by your team. This is obviously a very, very tough situation for you, and it was quite inspiring to hear about everything you're doing to cope with this. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of learning for many other state boards across the country. So I hope you will share this at a national level. So this is really inspiring. A quick question from my side. While there is a lot of focus on how can we reach students through radio, etc., because as you rightly said, device and internet availability are big challenges for a large segment of the population. Is the board also doing certain things to equip teachers with the right skills to reach students in various modes? So, for example, if a student has learned from a radio lesson, then how can a teacher do a quick check for understanding through a WhatsApp or an SMS? Are there mechanisms which integrate teachers into this, or are there thoughts on that? I mean, obviously, everything will happen one thing at a time, but are there plans of that kind going forward?
Yes. Yeah. To add on to it also, I'm very thankful to you for asking the question. Yes, our team, some of the districts like Inspector of Schools of Golaghat, then Dibrugarh, then Goalpara, these are some of the districts which they have taken up so much of efforts from their end, equipping the teachers, giving them trainings also how to conduct these classes. This is not simply classes also, because we have also come to know that in their regular chats also they have been also correcting, the students have been sharing their homework, the daily exercises with the teachers also, and they have been also regularly correcting it, the exercise everything about it. And plus different webinars also they have been holding it with the students, only those, like I said, no, this is only constrained to a few lot of the students only. And apart from that also, the different districts, they're preparing very good, I mean, this lesson plan items, which the best ones, they share it in our group. We have a group of the whole of Assam where all the IS inspector of schools are there, and they share it also with that of the the different districts also. And some of the inspector schools like Golaghat, I said, and they have prepared a very well planned execution model, wherein they have included the learning pattern, they have conducted the examination, they have conducted the evaluation also, and they have also generated a progress report also on that basis. So few districts, yes, they have taken up a lot of initiative from their end. Only the thing is that we are giving them the moral boosting, the backup support from our end, and they have taken a lot of effort from their end. So some of the districts have really done very fine. And that's a close monitoring also. The EduAid, the channel, the YouTube link which we are preparing and giving it out in the YouTube, and all the different districts and the students they are downloading also. We are keeping a regular track also, how much has been downloaded and which districts has prepared how many. So the last previous Zoom meeting that we held, so we made an awareness among all the districts, and there was a sort of a competition also among them, that another district is doing so much of preparation on in that aspect. So this would, we feel that it will give an encouragement to also others, those who are not probably doing much in that line. So yes, they are doing a lot in that aspect, right from evaluation to the preparation of the program.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Well, that was a nice conversation between Ramya ma'am and Suranjana ma'am. Suranjana ma'am, do you have any question for our panelists, Ramya ma'am or Devika ma'am? I'll just take Devika ma'am into the stream as well.
Yeah.
So we are already behind schedule, but still, maybe if you wish, we could just take a quick questions, either Devika ma'am to Suranjana ma'am or Suranjana ma'am to any of the panelists. Anyone?
So I just have a question for Suranjana
Yes,
ma'am, if I may, a very quick one. Actually, I think we're really crossing the time. I'm really completely impressed exactly what Ramya said about the kind of effort that the Assam government is taking. It's Herculean, and I'm sure that the same is happening in most other states. You've just not left any stone unturned. I love the statement you made that if this doesn't work, then that. If that doesn't work, then that. But do not spare any effort to reach every last child. And that was beautiful. That All India Radio is what is working the best, because everybody doesn't have a digital device. So I'm terribly impressed with what you're doing and the passion with which you were speaking. My question was that, you've covered almost everything else. You already had prepared, you already had started doing some animation stuff for sharing content, and COVID just made it so much easier, and it became a catalyst for you to start sharing that with the schools. Do you face a problem of, I know that a majority of the children may not be logged into devices with internet, but those who do, the private schools are facing a lot of problems of students not being motivated to log in at all. There are a lot of distractions at home and they do not log in. That's the common complaint that I hear, that even though they have devices, they're not motivated to learn. And I believe that it also happens because teachers are not equipped with the new strategies of teaching online. So both ways it's not working. So do you have any comments on that? Did you see that in Assam, or would you like to say anything about that?
Yes, ma'am, that is a very big problem, which we are taking things ahead, but the regular situation also tells us that this thing is not working probably in the correct way also, yes. But this thing, this initiative, we give a boost to the inspector of schools at the highest top level in the particular districts, asking them to motivate the teachers at their level so that they can take whatever means possible to reach out to the students. Because, like we said, this evaluation, this unit test also, we are having one we skipped, and the second one is also coming very shortly. So for probably for that, we will also have to issue notifications for it also, because those will be counted in the long run. And the parents will also have to be, whatever way, they have to be, interacted by that of the teachers concerned also. And in this
Right.
particular aspect of yours, tomorrow also we are having this thing Zoom in meeting also, because like the other meetings we had, we also came to know very clearly that this non-connectivity with the
Yes.
gadgeted students, that is a very important particular aspect, because in Assam most of the schools are rural, so
I
they are
know.
not that financially sound, and that is a glaring problem. So this aspect
Yes.
we are trying to address also, and tomorrow also we are having a particular big meeting with all the district heads also in this particular issue, and we have chalked out a little bit of plan also for that. So
Thank.
probably after
Okay.
tomorrow I would be able to share with
I'm
you
sure.
that aspect.
I'll, I will find out from Mitra. I'll ask
Yes,
her to
yes, yes,
ask you.
yes. I'll be
Even though
able
the
to share
webinar
that.
is. Yeah. Thank you,
Yes.
ma'am. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Suranjana ma'am. Thank you, Ramya ma'am, and thank you, Devika ma'am. Well, I think we are already behind schedule, so therefore we will skip the other interactions that we had planned, and we will just take in the questions from the invited guests we have today. We have a few of them who are waiting, and Ramya ma'am and Devika ma'am, is that fine?
Yes, yes. Yes,
I mean,
absolutely
I'll
fine.
just
Absolutely fine.
If you
yeah,
don't
yeah. So.
mind, can I leave with your permission?
Yes, of course, ma'am. Must be busy.
Okay, with a heavy heart,
Thank
yes.
you, ma'am.
But I do understand that you have.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
And
thank you
if
so
there
much,
is also
ma'am.
any good
Yeah.
suggestions, because you are all such intellectual people, and we have already given and shown and spoken about a plan of action that is going on at the moment.
Yeah.
So if there's anything which you can also suggest to us and help us how we can go more deep into the problems that which we are facing, just as I've shared. So you are very much welcome, and I would like to take your suggestions from Mitra. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank you. We will do that, ma'am. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Okay. Bye bye.
Yeah. So therefore, we go on to our guests right now, and we have in the first place we have Jonali. Jonali, I believe Jonali. Have I? If you could unmute yourself,
Hi, hi,
I've added you
Hi,
to the
Jonali.
screen, Jonali.
hi, hi. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes. So Jonali, for the viewers, everyone out here, Jonali Das, she is the principal of Modern English School, Kailipara, Guwahati. So Jonali, your
Yeah,
turn. I mean,
yeah.
and your choice of panelists whom you would like to put the question up.
I mean, it's open to everyone, both of you.
Okay.
I have already typed the question to minimize the time thing, and I just like to ask you, what will be the biggest challenge for students in future in terms of learning as in the new world unfolds? I have posted the I have posted the question.
Okay. So, Junali, I think Ramya can't hear you yet, but I can. So, let
I
me
could.
take that question. Oh, okay. So, Ramya, would you like to take that?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Uh, I think your question is that what is the biggest challenge? Is that what you said?
I have
So,
posted the question.
okay, I cannot see where you have posted it, but I heard you right now.
Yeah, let
Oh
me
yeah,
tell you again.
I can no, 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 I can see it. I can see it. Of course, I
Yeah,
can see
yeah,
it.
yes,
Um,
yes.
yeah, I think that if you're saying biggest challenge in terms of what kind of learning, we do not know yet because we do not know the future. But how to learn, I think I mentioned in my presentation that we do not know how long the schools would remain closed really, and therefore we need to move to this whole idea about students taking charge of their own learning, especially as they grow older. Not primary, but especially middle school upwards. And they can't do that until there is an adult intervention and until we as adults teach them how to do it, which goes back to training our teachers on preparing the students for becoming independent learners. That's what I'd like to say. That's the
I'd
new.
like to hear, sorry, I'd like to hear from Ramya.
Yes, Ramya.
Sure. No, I fully agree with what Devika said. And to add to that, I would say that one of the big challenges is going to be that children often adapt much faster than adults. And both teachers and parents are at risk of being, still in the older world. And which means that, they may not prioritize what is absolutely essential for the student to learn. In a scenario like this, you don't have to necessarily learn the entire syllabus. As long as the core concepts are at least covered,
Absolutely.
you should be sort of happy with that. Similarly, they may not prioritize mental health, screen time control, things like that, compared to what you think of as literacy, numeracy, concepts in language, maths, etc. So I think those are some of the challenges that students might face, where their parents and teachers need to adapt to this new world till it goes on.
Okay, all right. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, both of you.
Well, and now I would like to call Dr. Tulika Day. Tulika, I'll just give me a moment as I take you in. Here comes Tulika. Dr. Tulika Day, she is a professor and the head Department of Education in Science and Mathematics at NCERT, and she is based out of, particularly in Borapani, which falls in Moderator. So, Tulika, your question,
Yes,
please.
yes. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we
Yes,
can hear you, ma'am.
Okay, a very good evening to all of you. I actually do not have a question as such, but what I feel is I'm more apprehensive of the situation, that our teachers were not ready for such a situation, as we all can understand. They're into a new classroom environment, breaking the monotony of the curriculum, innovation, and recreating a classroom through digital teaching, learning, digital contents. Okay, but then what about this sustainability of such kind? How long are we going to sustain in this kind of an environment? Because as we can see that not only that we are putting the teachers in such a situation, but the parents also, for the parents also, this is a challenging situation, as well as for the children. Now what I feel is that small children and their attention span, how are we going to hold it through these online classes one after the another? On the parents' part also, it is constantly there must be a parent sitting with these children, and that to how long? As the lockdown is slowly going to fade out, the parents, maybe both are working, they are not there with the children to be always there. These children also are forced into isolation, missing their friends, the peer interaction. They're also in a kind of a depression. How are we going to meet those challenges? Are we addressing those kind of challenges? Only thinking how the teacher is reaching, but not thinking from the perspective of the child is also something which is a missing link. And I think we need to work together for that missing link. That's all that I wanted to put before the panelists. And it's so you can always throw some insights into it.
Yeah. Devika,
Maybe we
ma'am,
can
would
take.
you-
Yeah, I think we'll just quickly wrap this because what Dr. Tulika has expressed is something that everybody is feeling. I mean, the apprehensions are not going to go away anytime soon until the world finds a vaccine, and we just need to know that we are just going to be living in this fear for a very long time. Therefore, there are apprehensions, and they're not to be dismissed, of course. But yes, we need to still be able to cope with the situation and find ways and means of keeping the teaching and learning going, and also keeping the happiness going, and not spreading so much of fear, which is there pretty palpable, in society today. Mitra, I think we will take questions if there are any. So if there's something from Mr. Dinesh, who is joined right now.
Yeah. So next is Dinesh's turn. Dinesh, I've already unmuted you, and please. Yes, you are audible, Dinesh. So Dinesh Lahoti, he is the founder and of EduGenie and Career Spark, and he works very closely with schools and the children. Over to you, Dinesh.
Yeah, thank you. My Devika ma'am.
A little more
Ma'am,
audible, Dinesh.
how can parents help students to become independent? Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, you are. You are, Dinesh. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Devika,
Okay,
questions to you.
Yes. Yes.
As you mentioned, what are the ways teachers can do to the students to make them independent learner? What
Right.
parents can do to help students become independent learner or self-monitored learner?
Yeah.
As
So I think
parents want to join, I think there should be some takeaway for parents as well. So I added.
Oh, good. That's nice. I mean, I do not see much difference between a parent and a teacher in terms of the adult intervention in the life of a child where learning is concerned right now. Because the teachers also need to develop a lot of new skills for digital teaching. And I think that, like Ramya mentioned at some point, that we need not be so focused on the curriculum completion currently, as we need to be more worried and more concerned about how do we help students cope with what's happening and take care of their mental health, etc. I mentioned some 7 skills, Dinesh, when I talked about preparing to become an independent learner. None of that is rocket science. Each of those skills can be taught by any interested adults with some amount of reading. I'll be very happy to share some material on that if you're interested through Mitra. We have whole modules on developing each of these skills, whether it is active reading, whether it is doing graphic organizers, and many others that were listed there. So I think at the end of the webinar, there could be a practice of sharing of some materials very freely to help those who would like to take it forward. And we'll be happy to do that for you. And parents can get it done. Parents can get that done. Yeah.
That would be very nice. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Dinesh. And our next, I would like to invite Saida ma'am. Saida ma'am was ex-principal of Sudarshan Public School, a reputed Seba School of Guwahati. Saida ma'am, your question, please.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Of course, many of my questions have been answered, but yet I would like to ask you, that is, monitor the cognitive development of students through e-learning. So how would you propose to the various steps that you take to improve this situation? So I'd like to put the question to Devika, Mrs. Devika Nadig.
Ma'am, I didn't really hear the full question. No, not much really. Can you type it in? Can you type your question in? Then I'll be able to read it and answer. You're not very audible. Did anybody else hear that? Mitra, could you repeat? Mitra, could you repeat your question?
I heard the question.
I wanted yes,
how do you promote cognitive learning?
My question is, that is, how would you monitor social cognitive behavioral development of a child?
Okay, got it. So I think that cognitive learning, of course, is possible because it's not as if the content is changing much or our assessment practices might change much. Even though we are doing digital learning, but I think there is definitely going to be some kind of a problem in trying to see how are they doing on their social emotional scale, because we're really not giving them much opportunities for meeting each other. Although the Zoom platform and many other platforms that people are using does have an option of a breakout room. Okay, so you do give children some breakout room. We do that all the time, that we put kids into a breakout room where they then together work out a project and get that time together to do something on their own and have some little bit of interaction. So maybe that's the only way currently, and we are of course going to be facing some challenges there. We don't have answers just yet. Yes. Is there any other question, Mitra? Chetan.
Yeah,
Chetan is up.
Yeah, Chetan Tiwari, he's principal of St. Anthony School, Kashyam. Welcome to the northeastern part of the state, northeastern part of the country. Chetan, your question.
Yeah, thank you, Mitra. My question is to Ramaya ma'am, that since you have the testing and certification of online anytime, anywhere, special track dedicated to online teaching also, but since because of the connectivity, all the teachers cannot be trained. So can we have a master trainer, or how many groups, how many teachers do you take? It's a 6-week course you told. To make it versatile, can we have a master trainer or principal or a headmaster does and trains the others? Is it possible?
Yeah, I think so. Right now, the way that course is structured is batches of less than 30 teachers can take the course at a time, and that batch can be from anywhere in the world, literally. So it's a batch working together so that they go through the course together, and there is some peer learning, interaction, etc. But the batch can be from anywhere, and there will be batches starting almost every week because of the kind of demand that is there. I mean, we are still trying to ramp up how well we can supply it. And to your question, yes, would be very happy to work with specific institutions who want to develop their master trainers, and we also certify teacher trainers, by the way. So we also certify teacher trainers on their ability to coach other teachers, and would be very happy to connect with you offline on that.
Thank you, ma'am. One more question to Devika, ma'am.
Yes,
Ma'am, in
Chetan.
this lockdown, since teachers have been trained and how you told us how we should do it and all accelerated learning and different, we can use different kind of
Self-regulated
diagrams,
learning.
self-regulated learning and all. But ma'am, like, isn't there any kind of a thing like how do we prepare our parents? Like, from the morning till the evening, like a kind of a routine, like, what they should be doing it, like, because parents are finding it very difficult.
So I really do not know why parents are getting involved in this, because they were not involved in it when we were doing face-to-face teaching, and that's the way it should continue to be. It's just that they suddenly have got access to be watching their teachers all the time, and they therefore do not ever want to get away from that screen. Our teachers were never prepared for this. They were never also prepared for being watched like this all the time and also deal with the online teaching. I think the best thing that we could do, Chetan, is to please ask the parents to please stay away from those screens, except where, of course, there is one mobile device which is being used between people or one laptop. But even then, it's not as if the child cannot be given independent learning time. It's not as if the school is expecting the student to be logged in from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And that respect for the school and that respect for the time which is specified should be really protected by the parent as well. So it all goes back to your communication with the parents. And how do you tell them that back off? We are here, we know our job, and we can take care. That's what.
Thank you very
Ramya
much.
And if I may just add to that, and something I feel passionately about, fully agree with Devika, and someone from the audience, I think someone called Sudipto Mukherjee has also mentioned a couple of times that there is huge pressure on teachers. And to reiterate what Devika said, it is very important for the school to set norms on where parents are expected to be involved and where the school will take care, and to make sure that parents are respecting those norms. Parents are obviously a very integral part of education, but sort of trying to interfere in where the teacher is talking to the student, involving the students, there has to be a norm set by the school. And I would strongly encourage all school leaders and teachers here to set that norm. And interestingly, one of the things we are doing as CENTA, by the way, to support that, we are providing a free sample test that parents can take to check where their own concepts are on various subjects and grade levels, so that parents don't come in saying, look, I know how to do this. So we say, okay, why don't you just take this test and tell us what your score is on a simple 20-question test as a parent. And maybe as school leaders, you should feel free to send it to all your parents. It is free. I mean, anyone can take it, and it's a good way to check yourself as a parent that I'm not the expert on this. The teacher is the expert.
Thank you, ma'am. That's really good, ma'am.
Yes, absolutely, ma'am. Ramya, ma'am, I'm absolutely on it. Ma'am, nothing is perfect. Is there anything in this world which is perfect? But we as teachers, we as schools are trying our best to deliver amidst all the uncertainties. And I think the entire teacher community should be appreciated for that. And I, on my part, would give a huge round of applause for all my teachers in spite of their imperfections. And now I would like to call upon Veena Raizada ma'am. Veena ma'am has been waiting for a pretty long time. Veena ma'am, she is a director academics and academic consultant with Next Education. She has been the founder principal of two big schools, and she's a passionate educator. Over to you, Veena ma'am.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Wonderful listening to all of you and pleasure to be part of this forum here. My questions is directly to Devika ma'am because time is limited. Therefore, I'll have my question because you talked about accelerated learning, you talked about academic lag. So I'm putting my question with respect to learners and the curriculum planning, basically. So learners, how to sustain the motivation of learners to be online is a very big challenge for all of us. Then there is an academic divide and digital divide that has been created for the learners who have an access to the systems of tools and the others who do not have. So how do I cover up as a teacher the academic lag between those two groups? And then as a teacher, how do I bifurcate the curriculum? So what do I have to do with the curriculum planning in order to address that all this academic lag that you're talking about and the accelerated learning where it can be done can be really pitched in to have a wonderful teaching learning environment. Thank you, ma'am.
Absolutely. I mean, I completely understand your concerns, and I know that you have asked more than one question actually in whatever you said. Yes, there are a series of questions, and I'm going to make an attempt to answer them to the best of my ability. I think your first question was about accelerated learning and how do we do that. I think the beauty about accelerated learning is it helps the teacher focus on only the prerequisite skills. And as teachers, we know what prerequisite skills are. The prerequisite skills are what we call in teaching parlance as that which we activate when we enter the class, which is known as activating prior knowledge, which teachers know about. Those prerequisite skills, I had given some examples in my presentation, but what is being said, what I'm saying that there will be a lag, so you cannot be introducing a new concept before really checking back on what is it that the student has missed. That was one. But the good news is that most of the lag seems to be in mathematics and in language, as we all know. Okay, so if we can get these two things sorted, maths and language, we will find that students would be doing fairly well in almost everything else. Because this lag in math and language, what it does to the student's emotions is even more damaging than the cognitive lag itself. Because the student ends up feeling that I cannot cope with what's happening in the class. So what accelerated learning is really focusing on is, can we look at math and language, and in language they're focusing on actually vocabulary. So you might be interested to know, ma'am, that research is showing us that vocabulary could also be, low vocabulary could also be one of the causes for students disrupting the class. And the connection is that they just do not understand what's going on in the class. And because they do not have the social intelligence to still stay quiet, like all of us might be doing on this webinar, that, okay, it's going to wrap up in another few minutes. So therefore, let me just bear with it. Students don't have that, and therefore they start disturbing the class. So vocabulary, and I really want to say this as a takeaway, that every teacher is first a language teacher. She's not a geography teacher or a history teacher or a science teacher, because there is a vocabulary of science and a vocabulary of geography which the teacher must get done. And the students will have the academic vocabulary lag, and that's the crux of accelerated learning. Your second question, which I would like to attempt to answer, is about motivation. In fact, we do a lot of work on student motivation right now. And we have identified 4 to 5 factors which we need to work on so that students feel motivated. And it's not, again, something that we don't know. So we draw on the resources that everybody is talking about. So we talk about one thing, which is taking care of their interests, taking care of their learning readiness. Where are they right now? taking care of giving them some autonomy in what they're learning, which is choice, I mean, and I think the digital medium is really making that possible. Would you like to learn this? Would you like to learn that at a different time, giving them a choice everywhere, including in homework, including in assignments, because choice is so powerful that students would feel motivated to log into your class. Also giving them some opportunity for social interaction, because social interaction is highly motivating also.
Okay.
So we are actually, that's what is lacking the most in the corona times. And therefore, how can we make that happen? We need to look at digital platforms where this is a possibility, put them into projects and so on. So I think I've attempted to answer two of your questions. The third one was...
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
One,
but still, there is academic lag that remains between the students who can have an access of tools and network and those who do not have. And that causes very, very logical bifurcation of the syllabi or curriculum that you have to complete. And that's a big challenge for leadership at all levels.
Let me answer that. I think one of the marvelous things which has happened, apart from the depressions which people are going through because of the situation, I think the marvel is the flexibility and the divergence of the human mind, I mean, the way people are thinking about what they can do right now is so beautiful that even this thing about how can I cover up that which students do not have access to online? I mean, on Google Suites, they are sending everybody material to study just as worksheets. For those who don't have access to being online or being on the internet, it's been covered up in a variety of ways. You heard the minister speaking about a lot of things that they do. So I think that she was also very inspiring, but I mean, going right up to Doordarshan and All India Radio. So I think that where there is a will, the old cliche.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It's pleasure listening. Thank you, Mitra ma'am, for everything.
All right. Do we still have questions, Mitra, or are we closing now?
We do have questions, but in case you have a question, maybe then I will ask Ramya ma'am to please hang on and take the question.
I'll stay for a minute or two.
Okay. So we have Sangha Mitra Datta, who is joining us from Bangalore. She's a senior teacher with the Samhita Academy. Over to you, Sangha.
I know Samhita.
Hello, ma'am. Hello, everyone. Yes, Devika ma'am had been to our school actually for some training modules. Yes, so
Asha Thomas and everybody.
Yes,
right.
Yes. Yeah, hello. So my question would be to you, Devika ma'am. You spoke about differentiating between concept and skill. Now, what we do is we deal mostly with primary students. So how do we enable students of that age group to differentiate between concept and skill, especially during online classes?
Yeah. So I think that if you want to, let me answer the first part of your question, that how do we differentiate between a concept and a skill? So I think that, we all tell everyone that a skill is something which has some steps, basic understanding. Okay.
Yes.
You can only call something a skill if it has some procedure. Even if it is addition of two numbers, we do place one number below the other and then add it. So there are steps whenever it is a skill. So the way to identify a skill, so basically there are two forms of knowledge broadly. One is conceptual knowledge, which is all about concepts. Concepts are nothing but ideas about various things in life. And the other kind of knowledge is procedural knowledge. Procedure meaning process or skills. Once we have this basic identification done and clear in our own minds as teachers first, that, for example, if I'm doing mathematics, then there is an idea of addition and that's a concept, but I can do the procedure of addition and that's a skill. Okay, yes. That's the way to differentiate. Or in history, it's just a concept heavy subject, migration, revolution, etc. There are no skills there. Okay. In language, we are full of skills. So once we understand this difference for ourselves, it'll be better for us. Second, skills need a lot of practice, which is why maximum homework used to be given in mathematics and languages, because both are full of skills and both need daily practice. So we must remember that when it is skills, we need a lot of practice. When it is concepts, we need a lot of understanding. For understanding to happen, multiple exposures to the concept are required. We know from all our psychology that we need multiple exposure. So that is the way to differentiate between a skill and a concept. And even primary children will understand that if you illustrate with examples from their own curriculum. Like I gave you about addition. Okay.
Yes.
Or writing. Yeah. Thank you for your question.
Yeah, clarifies my doubt. Thank you so much, ma'am. Yeah.
Good to see you again, Sangamitra. I remember you.
Same here. Yeah.
Okay. So now we have a quick question from Saha, who is the director of St. Vivekananda English Academy. So he's actually a host, and he was supposed to join us, but then because of the limitation of people. So yes, Saha sir, can we have a quick question? Whether your question will be to Ramya ma'am or Devika ma'am, it's your choice. Your question, please.
It's an open question to both of you. Any one of you can answer the question. A very good evening to all three of you, and it has been wonderful listening you for more than 1.5 hours now, and a lot of insights. So while you have a lot of strategies for teaching the teachers and training the teachers, training the students about the online classes, you spoke about the self-regulated, creating a self-regulated learner and accelerated learning to bridge the gap, to bridge the lag. But my question to you is how to conduct, because my teachers are facing a daunting task in evaluating the students. Like they have taught for 1.5 months now, but now when it comes to evaluation, now objective questions like where we can give some multiple choice questions and ask the students, those are easy to evaluate. Suppose the English language teacher who is asking a student to write an essay. Now, how do you have any concrete plans? Like, can you give some insight? The question is open to both of you. Anyone of you can answer.
Ramya, would you like to take that? Or do you want me to?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So on assessment in an online environment, or student assessment in an online environment, frankly, if it is not a high stakes assessment, that is, it is not a board exam, or it is not going to lead to a career choice, IIT, JEE, whatever. If it's not a high stakes assessment, it is a classroom assessment, largely for formative purpose by a teacher, you will find that almost everything that you can do in a face-to-face environment can be done. I mean, I'm saying almost, not everything, but almost. So, for example, when you come to English, a few things that I have seen schools do is, if the teacher wants the student to write an essay, of course, there are certain schools which say just type the essay and send it across. But coming back to Devika's earlier point, very often then we get confused between the students' skill in the language and the skill of typing, and we see that, by the way, in our teacher testing also. And therefore, there are schools which give the flexibility that no, I'm not testing your typing skill. So why don't you write as you normally write, take a photograph and upload it. And most of the platforms have an option where, of course, you can send it by WhatsApp at a very rudimentary level, but most of the platforms have an option where you can actually upload and as a department head, provide a rubric to the teacher to see on what parameters you want to evaluate that question and give marks based on that parameter. And potentially offline, to Devika's earlier point on sharing resources, I will maybe send across to Mitra a couple of links of webinars where some expert faculty have gone deep into some of these questions. How do you do student assessment in an online scenario? How do you do lesson planning in an online scenario, etc.? So I'll send across links to Mitra, which can be shared with whoever is interested.
Yeah.
They're free.
We can create a group of those who attended this, and you can put it up maybe on the blog.
Yeah, very happy to share that.
Yeah, sure, I will do it. So now the last on the list of the experts who were invited today is Angela Ghosh ma'am. She's joining us from Kolkata. She has been the principal of Union Chapel School, Kolkata and St. James School, Kolkata. Angela ma'am, your question please. We are already behind schedule. You are free to ask the question to
I
any of
know
the
I'm
panelists.
sorry. Good evening to everybody, and thank you so much for inviting me in a wonderful forum. And thank you to Devika especially because she has addressed so many issues with me since I'm primarily with the pre-primary and primary school learners.
Maybe she can type
Of
it.
schools
Type it
where
out.
there are mostly first generation learners from economically challenged backgrounds. And for me, the biggest problem of this online teaching was the very young ones, learning that is already well in senior middle school. But for these very little ones, I would like some suggestions on how to overcome these barriers around them, especially those who cannot follow the technology and
Yeah. I believe her question is,
was very nice that we could get a group.
I believe her question is that, I mean, she was close, I mean, she is more passionate about the pre-primary section, the little smallies of the, pre-primary classes, and they sitting with the devices and the lower middle class or the even, I mean, the very lower stratum of the society who do not have access probably to a digital medium. So what are your suggestions for this class of students? I think whoever takes it. Ramya ma'am, would you like to take it?
I mean, frankly, for pre-primary, firstly, I would say we should not worry at all right now about the learning side. We should be entirely focused on seeing how we can create at least minimum social interaction for children through the online medium, whether it is an extracurricular class, whether it is a school class, whether it is just meetups with friends, etc. And that again for the lowest strata of society where the online option is not easily available. I would say the focus right now is probably about saying how can we support the family in being able to spend a little more time with the child and therefore support their mental health. So for pre-primary, I mean, I don't see this time as being one where there should be stress about learning. A lot of learning happens automatically at that age. And once things open up again, they will pick up. So the biggest thing is to get rid of the stress and support the parents in getting rid of the stress in whatever socioeconomic strata they are, and therefore whatever options are available. And that's at least my personal take. It's not a CENTA view.
I'll just add, I'll just share something which some schools have been doing because actually to build on what Ramya is saying, to take care of their emotional health, Ramya, what was very interesting is that some of the pre-primary teachers, of course, this is of course with the assumption that they have the access to WhatsApp. They are recording their own videos, the teachers, either telling a story or reciting a poem or doing something very simple, making a sandwich that they would have done in school. The teachers are doing that, and they're just uploading little videos on their parents' mobile saying that, I'm missing you and I'm waiting for you. And in that thing, they're also kind of teaching them a poem. So I thought that was really nice to be shared because this is something which, if you have access to WhatsApp, then it's pretty easily done. I mean, everybody can just take your own self video, and that keeps them happy. Otherwise, just leave them alone, please. Let them just play and get over with this time. All right, I think we're done with the last question, Mitra.
Yes, we are done with the last question.
It's
And ma'am,
from you.
If you leave,
Yeah.
you could, but then there are two things that I see in the
No.
comments going up.
I postponed it. So why don't you wrap it up? I'll stay on. Yeah.
Yes, just two things as I was scrolling through the comment section. Two major things. One is a stress. Everybody is speaking of the stress of the students, the stress There was certain stress about the teachers as well, but mostly right now I have Mala Datta who has posted about the stress that the students, especially the little ones, that they might be undergoing, continuously looking at a mobile device or the laptop screen, and how to really manage that stress.
Are you asking a question now? Are you asking this question?
Yes, how to manage the stress. I'll just get this question on the screen. Here, ma'am, it's a question from Mala Datta that students are under stress due to long screen hours, not meeting friends, etc.
Yeah.
How do parents help to manage this stress?
Yeah. Mitra, do you think we could maybe wrap up with one or two questions?
Absolutely. Let's wrap up. Let's wrap up. We can answer. Yeah, if you like, Mitra, you could mail us some questions and we could answer you, and you could post them back, because we will need to wrap up now. I am so sorry. Also, need to join something else. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. We are already much beyond that time. Fine. I will just try to put together all the comments and we'll mail you, and then the answers maybe we could share in the same platform. That would be a better way to handle the things. So thank you so much, Ramya ma'am. Thank you so much, Devika ma'am. Thank you so much, all the invited guests, and all the insights, the beautiful insights that you have provided. And I have to also thank my tech team, Surajit, Ankita, and Dipjyoti, my designer, Kaustubh. Once again, all these are my alumni of our school. And I would just like to have one ending line that after hearing all of you, what gets reiterated is a statement I heard from Brahma Kumari Shivani ji the other day in a session, that it is not difficult times, it's just different times. So let's reorient and reinvent ourselves to cope up with these different times. And I think after the evening today, both Ramya ma'am, Devika ma'am, as well as Suranjana ma'am has given us a lot of insights on how to really maneuver the challenges that the situation has thrown up. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And thank you to St. Vivekananda School for setting this up and bringing us all together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mitra. Thank you for making this happen. Okay.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you so much.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Good night. And a big God bless to everyone.
Thank you.